We need to define your brand to create a foundation for all of your marketing efforts. And in this video, we're gonna go over the 3 elements that almost everyone talks about in the web and in all the videos that are out there on YouTube. People usually talk about these 3 elements regarding personal brand identity. And today we're gonna be talking about the one that no one really seems to develop and associate to brand identity. So keep on watching. We are going over the personal branding series, and this is video number 4. If you haven't seen the other videos, you might want to check out these videos right here because they are an amazing resource and great foundation for personal branding. Today we're going to talk about the need to define your brand and create a solid foundation of your brand identity. How do we do that? It's by building your brand identity. So what's brand identity? Your brand identity is how your audience perceives you. Without defining your brand identity, you run into the issue of your audience not understanding who you really are and why you're even a brand. So what is brand identity? These are the 4 elements that make up brand identity. Visual identity is your logo, your name, your brand name, your tagline, your content that you're putting out there, your typography, so things that are visually appealing, that they can easily recognize you through visual elements. That is what a visual identity is. The second element is your voice and your messaging. Everyone knows Nike, just do it, right? If I were to tell you what tagline is just do it, it's Nike. And Nike continues to really hone in on that communication and that tone and that voice. As you can see it, they've really launched an amazing campaign for the US female soccer team. The women's team is incredible, and they continue to use that to give you that sense of inspiration and empowerment. And that's what the brand really truly embodies, is empowerment. The next one goes in line with pretty much everything else, is value. It's what matters to you. So what matters to you as a personal brand? So as with Nike, empowerment and being yourself and just going out there and doing the things that you want to do, and that strength, finding that strength and that power and unity also. That's what Nike's all about, right? And those are the values that they share as a brand with others. So if you think of a brand that empowers others, or a brand that gives you confidence, hey, it's Nike. I remember one of the commercials that I am obsessed with, Nike, I'm gonna put it up here, is, the girl, she puts on her Nike shoes and she's in the middle of traffic in Mexico City and she takes off running like crazy with her Nike shoes. And that's the thing, that, when I put on my Nike shoes, I feel powerful. I feel like I can do anything. And that tagline, just do it, really resonates as a value of the brand. The next element is one that is very similar and close to value, and this is the personality of the brand. And this is the element that most videos out there don't talk about. And the reason why they don't talk about it is because they continue to pump out content that says that your brand identity is just visual. Well, your brand identity is much more than visual. It has to have a personality, because a personality is that human connection with your audience. And as I was saying, your brand personality, that's one of the steps that you really need to focus and help develop when you're thinking about creating a personal brand for yourself. You need to think about your brand's personality. Thinking about your brand's personality will help you choose not just your values, but it'll also help you choose your visual, voice, tone, and value of your branding elements. So how do we find our brand personality? Well, in the other videos, I've been going through a series of questions that you have to ask yourself before you even determine whether it's, what platforms you should be on, or why you want to create a personal brand. And for this one right here, again, we're going to go into answering some questions, because it's so important to ask yourself these questions to really help you develop your personal brand. All right, guys, so I want you guys to take a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you guys to write these questions down, because these are just some of the questions that you will need to ask yourself to build your brand personality. All right, the first question I want you to ask yourself is, what are your core values? In this exercise, I want you to write down 3 to 5 of your core values. What do you stand for? And I know that when we're talking about business, since you're developing a personal brand, I want you to consider what are those personal core values that you currently stand for that are very, very important to you. Now, the next one is really fun. If your brand was a person, what are the personality traits that they would have? A lot of times, you'll be able to find these personality traits really easy just by looking at the personality traits that you have yourself, because in personal branding, they should actually be congruent and relate to each other. So if a personality trait that I have is to be funny and to be approachable, then those are the personality traits that I want my personal brand online and offline to carry forth for me. The third question I want you to ask yourself is, how do you want your brand to come across to your audience? So a lot of times we don't really think about this one, and it's so important because we can be put off by a personal brand if we don't take the time to think about how do we want our audience to see us, because how we see ourselves may not always translate to how others see us. So we have to be very aware of how others see us. For this particular question, I want you to ask a few friends, family, and acquaintances, how do you perceive me? Like, what are some of the traits that you think of me when you see me? Or, how do I come across to you? And list these keywords that your audience has shared with you so that you can really start to define how your audience sees you. Sometimes you'll even find some negative words that are associated with how your audience sees you, and that is why it's so important to start asking people that you know how they see you. So for this specific exercise, I want you to write down every single one of the questions, and I want you to set a timer, and I want you to write as many words as come to mind. And also that, remember, the last question you're gonna ask people, so ask people by text, get them in a group text, send an email, or even just in person. Start asking people around you. As you continue to develop your personal brand, it's so important to continue to be aware of how the audience perceives you. Have your answers? Good, but I'd love for you to share your answers in the comments. Coming back with your personality traits or descriptive words that define your brand's personality. And if you want a detailed list of questions to continue to develop your brand's personality, make sure you go into the description and grab the link so that you can download the brand personality questions that I've provided for you. Como siempre, mi gente, make sure to like and subscribe every single Thursday that bring you videos that talk about building your personal brand by mastering your mindset, making your mark, and marketing it on social media. Como siempre, besitos a todos. Nos vemos la próxima semana.